India has some of the best hospitals in the world, but yet patients face long queues, unclear communication, and unpredictable billing. What, in your view, is fundamentally broken?
The focus on patient is become a least priority. The highest priority has become the building big infrastructure of hospitals, getting 500, 700, 800 beds in the hospital. Then the priority moves on to filling these beds and getting the return on investment, high investment which goes into these setting up this infrastructure, high-end technology, medical devices, and that's I think the broken piece in healthcare today.
What exactly is a micro hospital and how is it different from a clinic or a large hospital?
This concept started getting popular in the last 5 years in US, wherein they become more like a community hospital, but not limited to only basic clinics. It is sort of a 15 bed to 75 beds setup, which is one is a 24-hour round the clock service, can handle emergencies, focus on good primary care ecosystem with all sort of multi-specialty doctors, and then being able to provide all secondary care, day care and short stay surgeries. So that is one sweet spot which we saw in India also.
Do you see micro hospitals becoming the future of India healthcare too?
Micro hospital is the future of India healthcare because even the larger hospitals who have set up large tertiary care hospitals, none of them is self-sustainable. All of them are running on PE money, PE funds, VC funds. We have to come up with a model wherein the investment burden is not that high that the promoters and the operators of such large hospitals are compromised in patient care and the patient preference. So that's why micro hospital fills that gap.
Hello and welcome to OneHealth Conversations, a series of podcasts powered by Pacific OneHealth, India's emerging chain of micro hospitals that's reimagining how healthcare feels, not just how it functions. I am Vigya, your host, and today we are talking about something truly transformational, beyond big hospitals, the micro hospital model India needs. We have all experienced it. Endless waiting at large hospitals, rushed consultations, and that sinking feeling when the bill shows more than we expected. So, what if healthcare could be closer, simpler, and more transparent? Our guest today is someone who is not just asking that question, he's building the answer. Dr. Swadeep Srivastava is a healthcare visionary, co-founder and president of Pacific OneHealth. With over 25 years of experience across healthcare communications, patient engagement, and system innovations, all aimed at bridging the gap between the patients and the healthcare system. Now, under his leadership, Pacific OneHealth is redefining how care is delivered, making it more ethical, transparent, and people-centric. Dr. Swadeep, welcome to OneHealth Conversations. Let's start from the ground up. India has some of the best hospitals in the world, but yet patients face long queues, unclear communication, and unpredictable billing. What, in your view, is fundamentally broken?
So first of all, let me start with a positive note. India has done exceptionally well in terms of building the hospital infrastructure, particularly the fact that 70% of our healthcare and hospital infrastructure is in the private sector. The credit goes to the pioneers like Dr. Pratap C. Reddy of Apollo Hospital, Dr. Devi Shetty, and a lot of other big names who have done a lot of work in building this infrastructure, healthcare infrastructure in India in the private sector.
Absolutely.
So that's a positive side of it. Today, in fact, earlier, if you look at 30-40 years back, patients were forced to go out of India for certain large procedures, organ transplants, and a lot of other high-end tertiary care. Now it has become reverse. In the last 10-15 years, we have seen patients from third world countries coming to India. That's what we call medical tourism. India has become one of the fastest growing medical tourism hub in the world. So that is a big achievement. But what has happened because of this whole force working towards high-end tertiary care, filling that gap of tertiary care, what has happened that hospitals large hospitals have become very focused on tertiary care, high-end surgeries, high-end care, and they build large, big hospitals. They have to fill up their beds. They hire doctors at very costly cost, and so what is seen is that in that scenario, the focus on the patient care somewhere is getting diluted in healthcare in India. In hospital ecosystem, in healthcare delivery ecosystem, the patient is somewhere lost. The focus on patient is become least priority. The highest priority has become the building big infrastructure of hospitals, getting 500, 700, 800 beds in the hospital. Then the priority moves on to filling these beds and getting the return on investment, a high investment which goes into setting up this infrastructure, high-end technology, medical devices. So there the focus on patient care is lost, and that's I think the broken piece in healthcare today.
Moving on, big hospitals often mean big bills. Why do you think the traditional systems still fails to cater the very basic everyday healthcare needs?
So as I said, that since that whole driving force for the hospital healthcare delivery infrastructure in India, it starts from setting up a good high-end tertiary care hospital. So whereas if you look at various steps of healthcare, tertiary care always comes at the end. It starts with preventive, to primary, to secondary, to tertiary. Yeah. But currently the whole thought process of setting up big hospitals starts with tertiary, that how well you can set up the whole tertiary care infrastructure, then only the hospital will do well, then only you'll be able to make a good ROI, then only you'll be able to have a good average revenue per operational bed, AROV and all those new terminologies which have come in. So that's where the whole focus is lost. When you start with tertiary care is about illness. It is not about wellness. So then the whole the thrust on wellness is not there at all. Wellness becomes the last thing which hospitals and doctors want to do today. So that's why that you see that gap. Whereas the healthcare should always start with wellness and move towards the basic primary infrastructure. That is a big miss in India, that the primary healthcare infrastructure is so poor because of these reasons. Wellness is not at all considered. It is one of the last things, both from the healthcare provider side as well as from the consumer and the customer side also. People feel that they will never fall ill, their neighbor will always get a heart attack. So with that, they don't go for wellness on their own. There are no incentives, there are no motivation. Very least incentive and motivation for wellness. So that's why the whole healthcare, when it starts with illness, so then this whole vicious cycle of illness with the patient also gets trapped into, and which hospitals also enjoy because they see a patient as a commodity, as a customer, and who's trapped into the vicious cycle of illness, and he will become a payer for a long time. That's how broadly it is being looked in a majority way, not everyone. There are a lot of good hospitals which have come on philanthropic concept, trust-based hospitals, even corporate hospitals, big corporate hospitals who have lot of caution towards how do they focus on making healthcare affordable. So probably their thought process may be different, but they are very few. The majority are focused on the patient getting trapped in the vicious cycle of illness, and end of the day, he becomes a long-term payer for the hospitals as well as for other healthcare sector providers.
That brings us to another critical gap, Dr. Swadeep, between small clinics and huge tertiary hospitals. Where do you think India is struggling most? Access, affordability, or quality?
When we started with the concept of Pacific OneHealth, and we said we will have a smaller small hospitals, rather than going for one big tertiary care hospital, we said we'll set up 10, 50 bed hospitals, what we call micro hospital. So the first question was, and the first doubt which was raised by a lot of healthcare industry veterans was that lot of clinics, standalone clinics, lot of chain of clinics have come in the past and they could not succeed. They wanted to open primary healthcare or diagnostics or primary healthcare clinics, and they could not sustain a lot of them. 10-15 years back they had tried and they could not succeed. So it was always looked at that a smaller healthcare model or clinic model would not be able to make it sustainable. They may not have enough revenue streams to grow or to make it profitable or sustainable. That was the thought process. When we entered, we did that research all over. We did a proper survey in Delhi NCR where we are starting, and we saw that whole gap, that yes, at one end there is basic primary secondary care facilities, standalone they are not doing. When they are plugged with the large tertiary care hospitals, then they are neglected a lot. They are somewhere in the corner, and that is not the real thrust for large hospitals, so they are being neglected. There again, patients are facing that challenge of access to primary healthcare. This is, I'm talking about the metros and cities, and but even if you go to rural belt also, the government has also not done well with respect to primary healthcare infrastructure, though things have improved a lot in the last 10 years, but still at the PMC level and CSC level, still our infrastructure is not that strong. So that in the time of COVID, we all saw that the whole primary healthcare infrastructure was a big failure. That's why this whole COVID thing went out of control. And that's where we feel that gap is still there. So yes, you rightly said that gap is there. Primary healthcare infrastructure is poor, but then there is a space, and the large hospitals are busy in their own what they do in tertiary healthcare. So there is definitely a challenge for the patients, and that's why there is a gap. What we realized in our survey, that can we fill that gap?
So let's get into the middle part, which is micro hospitals, which Pacific One Health came up with. For many listeners, the term is new. What exactly is a micro hospital, and how is it different from a clinic or a large hospital?
So micro hospitals as a concept we picked up from US, because all healthcare development and the new trends and new technology, new medicines, everything, US comprises of almost 48% of the healthcare market of the world, one country alone. So all the trends are started by US. They are way ahead, 15-20 years ahead of us, and we should accept and agree to that. So this concept started getting popular in the last 5 years in US, wherein they become more like a community hospital, but not limited to only basic clinics. It is sort of a 15 bed to 75 beds setup, which is one is a 24-hour round-the-clock service, can handle emergencies, focus on good primary care ecosystem with all sort of multi-specialty doctors, and then being able to provide all secondary care, day care, and short-stay surgeries. So that is one sweet spot which we saw in India also, that the day care, short-stay surgeries, daycare admissions as well as daycare surgeries, laparoscopic and general surgeries, and short stay surgery, even up to the level of joint replacements. These can be done in smaller facilities with having a critical care ICU setup, a small OT setup, most advanced OT setup. These can be done very well. So that becomes a balance of a community hospital and a high-end tertiary care hospital. It comes in between, wherein there's a real access, because if you do in a smaller setup, obviously you'll be able to rationalize on the cost. I won't say that you need to make the cost cheaper or less, much less, but you can rationalize on the cost. That is one. Second is that if you focus on the patients and the families and the caregivers, the community where you are setting, for example, we are setting one in South Delhi, Lajpat Nagar Ring Road, other one in New Rohtak Road, Karol Bagh, third one in Dwarka. So the communities will start feeling very comfortable about these sort of micro hospital setups, wherein almost 70% of their healthcare needs, medical needs, treatment needs are taken care of by these mid-size hospitals or smaller hospitals, only for 20-30% needs, wherein suppose there is a big accident, trauma cases, organ transplant, liver transplant, kidney transplant, complex heart surgeries, and lot of other such high-end, even cancer, advanced cancer surgery, radiation, all those high-end things need to go to tertiary care setup, and other things are taken care in that neighborhood hospital. So earlier the neighborhood hospital concept was only small clinics that you set up. They were not, the feasibility was not coming in those small clinics. But if you go a step up, one step above, complete this facility with 60-70% of the healthcare needs, what you can take care for the community. So it becomes a win-win for both, for the community, for the operator, for the players who are investing. For them also, the investment is also low and ROI is also good, and break-even happens in a faster speed. So it's a win-win for everyone.
You've somewhat answered my next question, but why do you believe micro hospitals are the right fit for India's current healthcare landscape?
They are the best fit, not only the right fit. The reason being that micro hospital is the concept which we have come up now, though there are some other examples also. Even big brands like Apollo and a lot of other big hospital chains. Even if you see the mother and child care and all these segments, there are small size, mid-size hospitals, 40-50 beds hospitals, which have started coming and they are doing good. But as a multi-specialty setup, it is a big boon for the communities, the population at large. Second is increase the affordability. Third is get the best technology, best OT, best critical care in a smaller setup. And fourth is all multi-specialty doctors are available. So that is one. So it's a win-win, and so that fill that gap wherein, and overall in long-term basis, what I foresee in the next 5 years, 7 years, this concept will become very popular, spread across India. South India is already experimenting with this concept, where mid-sized hospitals, smaller hospitals are serving the purpose both in terms of increasing affordability, accessibility, bringing back focus on each on the patient, that is becoming more patient-centric, giving the right environment for the doctors to come and practice, whether it's a medicine or a surgeon. And at the same time, they are able to become sustainable because of the business module. Because there are a lot of surgeries, daycare surgeries, admissions, short stay surgeries, all those things are also involved, high value procedures, and yield per bed is very high when in daycare surgeries. That's why daycare surgeries are very sought after now. Yield per bed is very good there. So there's a balance where the hospitals are able to sustain, make profits, and as well as being able to fill that gap for all these things, particularly related to bringing back patient centricity in the healthcare ecosystem in India.
Many people still believe that good healthcare only happens in massive healthcare hospital buildings. How does this model challenge this perception?
That's a wrong belief. That's what I'm saying. So as I said, the care is divided into these steps: preventive healthcare, primary healthcare, secondary healthcare, and tertiary healthcare. A patient or any individual comes in a particular stage. If he doesn't have any illness, only cough cold, or he's feeling that his lifestyle is not good and he wants to go for a regular health checkup, so that comes under preventive health. Or he's looking for wellness, weight loss, or any other disease remission. So that comes under preventive health check. When the patient comes with some basic cough and cold and needs initial diagnostics, or basic pain or any such thing which prompts him to go to see a doctor, so that consultation of a doctor and basic diagnostics is something which comes under primary care. Then comes the next part, that there is a diagnosis. And diagnosis most of the times happens at a level wherein majority of patients from that stage, from diagnostic stage to the real treatment stage, they fall into secondary care category. I would say 60-70% of them, whether it is in the form of a normal medical admission, IV drips, or any such other medical treatment, or in the form of, like for example, we are starting a daycare, onco daycare program. So even basic secondary care can take care of that also. That the one patient has gone to a big cancer hospital, got his treatment regime written. There is a surgery required, he got his surgery there. There is radiation required, he got it. But for a regular chemotherapy, which will go for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, he can just walk into a daycare setup like ours at Pacific One Health, and he can just lie on the lounge and have his chemotherapy, immunotherapy done in 3-4 hours. He can go back home. So there also that whole secondary care play comes. Any gallbladder, lap cholis, laparoscopic other procedures, even now robotic surgeries have come in ortho and gynae, wherein there also these setups, all these can be done in this setup. So almost 70% of the treatment, if that can be done from preventive to primary to secondary care, if that 70% of the care you are able to fulfill in this sort of micro hospital setup, then how can you say that all treatments can be done only in a big tertiary care hospital? So that if you look at the whole logic and the real analysis of the whole system of healthcare, then it is not true. Rather, I would put it in other way. For smaller things, for primary, secondary care things, there's no need to go to a tertiary care. There may be a very big doctor who is available in a tertiary care hospital, but now with setups, corporate setup like ours coming into play, a lot of big doctors will be available in secondary care and micro hospital setups.
Easily accessible also.
There, so the big doctors will also be available here. So you have to take that judicious call. And over a period of time, this awareness will come in India. Lot of patients, communities, the people at large, particularly in metros, the educated people, the insurance companies, they play a very important role. The insurance, TPS, they have started looking at these models as more reasonable, more sustainable, and a better model for their insured patients also, and for them also. For them also, it's a cost saving in a long run. So that's how this awareness will come. Then this whole perception will get reversed.
True. So now we enter into a segment where we would want to know about your journey. So what inspired you to start Pacific One Health, and where did this idea generate from?
So I've been a health communicator throughout my life. I've seen healthcare very closely. I started with my job at Apollo Hospital, launching Indraprastha Apollo Hospital in Delhi, working very closely with Dr. Pratap C. Reddy. For 4 years, got into every bit of healthcare, interacting with more than 100 doctors, interacting with the patient experiences, hundreds on a daily basis. And in that journey, what I learned healthcare, that time I applied it into the overall communication part of healthcare, wherein the health education, health awareness, that part, what we call health information therapy, the concept I established here in India. So there I use that expertise more. But my journey started with patients, with hospitals, with doctors. I went into health communication. Always that desire was, can I do more substantial in changing, in bringing in some change and transition in how healthcare delivery is being delivered today in India, particularly in the private sector. I cannot do, we are into private sector, we cannot do much about government, and we should not always blame government that government everything is not the responsibility of government. Certain part they are doing, which they are doing, like Ayushman Bharat, making more insurance more accessible, and lot of other stuff. But that whole responsibility is still on healthcare delivery is on private sector. So we need to do better. We need to do different. We need to take that. We need to have that courage to try to do something new and different, which can be beneficial, which can be, of course, healthcare can never be a pure charitable thing. It should not be. Nothing which is charitable is sustainable. So everything has to make money. But how much is too much? That you have to decide. So with this thought, when I met Pacific Malls Group, they're one of the promoters, Mr. Saket Bansal, and we start chatting about how we can do different. They had gone into education, now they wanted to enter into healthcare. They were ready to come with an open slate to do something different and big in healthcare. So with that whole partnership started. Me as co-founder and president, I took over as the whole challenge of setting a newer dimension in healthcare, little improved version. See, there's no sort of such an innovation which is totally different. It is most of the things we are doing what all other hospitals, all other doctors are doing. We are part of that. We are also a part of that. But how we can do different? How we can improve on certain things? So what we realize first is that if we come with another tertiary care hospital, we will not be able to do any change or improvement in the ecosystem. So the key factors, the key things, the challenges which today are faced in healthcare, one is accessibility. Can we work something on that? Second is giving the right environment to the doctors, not that commercial environment where doctors are given targets to perform. So make it free of targets for the doctors and give them that congenial environment so that they feel not only comfortable but equipped with them with the latest technologies, latest advancements. That is the doctor side. Give a sort of a very compassionate ecosystem wherein the nurses and the guest relation officers, front office, everybody, they work towards only one objective, that is patient satisfaction. And then end of the day, when you do all these things, end of the day, can you make sure that every patient who enters your hospital is fully attended, fully guided, is not lost, which happens in today's big corridors of big hospitals. He's lost in a maze. He doesn't get lost, and he goes back satisfied. Okay, in a hospital, if you compare with a hotel, there's no wow factor because that patient is already coming in panic. There's already a burden of disease which the patient is coming with the fear of detecting something or something being detected and being treated. So he doesn't have wow, but at least he gets what all he requires in terms of what do the patients require today. So they require transparency, that okay, whatever you charge, but there should be transparency. Whatever treatment regime you give to us, it cannot be 100% foolproof, because medicine and allopathic modern medicine is not about 100% foolproof, but there should be least of medical errors and standard protocols, global protocols are followed. And so that transparency is big thing which you need to establish in a healthcare delivery ecosystem. Second is the communication. Now, in the biggest challenge with the hospitals is because of that large setups and so many thousands and thousands of patients walking in, the communication gap is there at every level, from admission level to diagnostics to even the patient is admitted in the hospital, in the ICU, there is a big communication gap. What is happening in the ICU, in the critical care, the patient and families are not communicated properly. And even in the discharge, when the patient is discharged, that's the worst experience they face, because they don't know their discharge will take 2 hours time or 10 hours time. And they are waiting. Everything went off well, but at the time of discharge, the experience was so bad that the patient wrote a very negative review about the hospital and doctor. So and even the doctors are given so much of time to be able to come and spend time with the patient, and how you can use technology to improve these things. So all those things were only possible in a setup which is a little smaller, more can be worked in a controlled way. So we decided that 25 beds to 75 beds is the ideal, depending on the location, depending on the and plus my whole thought that I'll be able to work very closely in healthcare delivery again after 25 years. It was looking like coming true. So that's why we joined hands and we started this ambitious journey of Pacific OneHealth chain of micro hospitals, starting with Delhi NCR, going to all parts of North India, Central and Northeast cities where there is a gap, where there is a requirement, and creating a model for it. Like you have McDonald's model in fast food, quick service restaurant. So that sort of model, of course, very difficult to replicate that sort of model, not very systematic, because healthcare is a lot of unpredictability is there in all health at different steps in treatment and doctor. So you cannot, but can we come closer to creating such models which we can replicate faster, expand faster? So our next journey is to go to Gurgaon, Noida, fill this gap in Delhi NCR, and then go beyond Delhi. That's how this whole thing started, and now we are already halfway into this journey, going to launch from February. We want to launch our OPDs. From March we want to launch our diagnostics. From April 2026 we want to start with our inpatient services. So all those, we are already part of this journey, moving ahead step by step.
So you've already answered, my next questions, but I would exclusively want you to address this question in particular. In most hospitals, patients are left, they are left to navigate paperwork and tests all by themselves. How does Pacific One Health makes sure that no one feels lost or they feel like they are in a maze?
So, of course, these are the part of the healthcare hospital
Yes.
ecosystem.
Yes.
In a hospital treatment, there's so many stakeholders involved, starting from the front office where patients first 5 minutes spends with the front office.
Yes.
Next, when one gets admitted, 70%, 80% of the interaction is the nurses.
At that point,
But still, the patient looks at doctors as their god. The doctors are going to make the big difference. So, in this whole thing, in this whole expectation versus delivery and involvement of multiple stakeholders, so it's very difficult to give a perfect patient journey. But if you do certain things sensibly, one first thing sensible where we start on a stronger ground to any other big hospital setup is that we are a smaller 25 bed, 50 bed, 75 bed setups, wherein things are in control. We are able to, like, our pledge is that every patient who walks in will be attended by our GROW managers, Care Plus executives. So we have got a women fleet like air hostesses called GROW managers. We have got a Care Plus executive fleet who are attending to our Care Plus membership loyalty program members. So all these people are there on the ground, on every floor, in OPD, in IPD, in diagnostics. So we make sure that every patient is attended. So first of all, he is being attended and he is being guided. That is first. Second is most important in today's world, how you can use technology to the best.
Yeah.
So that's where we are using a very unique queue management system, appointment system, lot of initial consultation we are shifting to teleconsultation, telemedicine program, second opinion program. We are launching a very exhaustive second opinion program. So, and how we are setting up our EHR, patient portal, doctor portal, everything combined, and how we can make best use, how we can use AI in certain places. We are trying to make a smart hospital. Yeah. So smart hospital is some hospital wherein there is a very good use and combination of the human touch, that the physically attending doctors and nurses and paramedics and front office, and how they can use technology to the best. Like, even we are using smart variables and a lot of other things for the patient side. We are using a digital records and a digital prescription at the doctor's side. So all these combined will be able to, I would not say cut all the problems or delete all the problems what patient would face, but would make it that patient journey, I would say, more efficient, and every patient will walk out with a very good experience. That whatever possible this hospital was able to do, give them. Somewhere technology plays the role, somewhere that human touch plays the role.
Yes.
So we'll
sense
have
of belongingness also comes with the
right.
human touch.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how then we'll be able to combine the both and deliver the best for the patients.
Also, let's talk about something that worries every patient: the hospital bills. They're often unpredictable with hidden add-ons. How is Pacific One Health building radical transparency in cost?
So first of all, hospital bills are unpredictable because not that hospital is cheating. Let us first clear that part. Even you see a lot of complaints coming out of big tertiary care established brands of hospitals.
Yes.
It is not true. Hospital bills are unpredictable because healthcare treatments are unpredictable at many times. A patient was admitted for a particular surgery or into the ICU, and because of certain reasons, because of the patient, or many a times hospital acquired infection. Even by global standards, there are 2% hospital acquired infections, which happen all over the world in best of the hospitals. So you cannot ignore. Similarly, there is a certain percentage of medical errors which happen all over the world in best of the hospitals. You cannot ignore them. Then there are self-inflicted sort of conditions in the patients, because that if there is a cancer patient or if there is a critically ill patient, and those patients have that tendency of sort of their certain parameters be getting aggravated because they are already compromised on their lot of vitals, on their metabolic health, and lot of other. So all those things combined, healthcare treatment itself is quite unpredictable. That's why these things happen. What is required is there are 2-3 things we want to take step. First of all, there is no target on doctors. So very clearly, there is no pressure of doctors to give any conversion, whether it is respect to surgery or to diagnostics or anywhere. So doctor is a very satisfied lot at our place. He is one of the most experienced, most technically equipped, and if he does it with the right might, where there is no lure of any big incentive or any sort of a additional profit or additional money, that lure is not there, so his intention is right. So that's the first thing we are taking care of. Second is the communication gap. Everywhere where we have grow managers and care plus executives, we are trying to fill that gap in a big way. Even if the hospital bill is increasing because of any medical condition or ICU, prolonged stay in ICU, we want to communicate and counsel the patient very clearly that this is why it is happening. That is second part. Third is 60-70% of our patients will be through insurance. They will be covered by insurance. So insurance today, in today's date, they have also become very vigilant. They look at every bill which goes through them. So they make sure that these things don't happen in hospitals. We are fundamentally strong. Intentionally, we are very clear. We are setting up this specific OneHealth chain of micro hospitals for the patients, or by the doctors, and of the society, for the society. So obviously, we are very clear that we want to do the best thing, the right thing, and for us, there is no pressure of immediately getting ROI or making it very profitable. So all those things are not there. So fundamentally, as promoters, we are also very clear that we are going to deliver the best of healthcare, the best of experience for our patients, and in that way, we want to build the brand in that way. That through word of mouth, our brand should build. So I think this, if we apply this whole logic, this whole problem of overbilling, lack of not being transparent, and all lack of communication, having a misunderstanding, all those things will automatically come down.
So what you mean to say is that these are the 3 big pillars. One is community and doctors' welfare and patient-centric approach, right? So moving on, we also know that diagnostics and minor procedures are usually where hospitals inflates costs. How do you keep pricing fair and accountable on this part?
We are working on a model where we are going to come up with a very low-cost diagnostics into the whole ecosystem. So we want the patients and the community and the families to come directly to us. Don't come through referral systems. That is the first thing. The cost of diagnostics, everybody knows that CT scan generally costs this much, MRI costs this much, ultrasound costs. The inflation of the cost is because of the middlemen in between. That is the inflation of the cost. So that is one reason why that whole that echo is there in the community, that hospitals are charging high in for diagnostics. That is one part of it, which is taken care of. We are not working through any middlemen. We are not giving any referrals. We are very open in terms of the cost of the diagnostic, minimum possible, what we can do depending on center to center. And so that will take care of a lot of things in reducing or not giving that extra burden. Second is that we are not giving any incentives to our own doctors also for diagnostics. So there is no reason for them to put any extra diagnostics or unwanted diagnostic tests to be done. What is required, everybody gets it, because in today's world, everything is so records driven, everything is so closely monitored, that doctors also want to play safe, that they get all that proper tests and investigations done. So the reasonable investigations will be done, but for sure there will be no motivation or incentive for any doctor or the hospital management to do any extra investigations which are not required at all. So that whole practice will be purely followed, very strictly followed in Pacific OneHealth.
All right. We move on to our next segment, Dr. Sudeep, the future of micro hospitals. Globally, healthcare is moving toward decentralized, smaller care formats. Do you see micro hospitals becoming the future of India healthcare too?
Micro hospital is the future of India healthcare, because the reason being that even the larger hospitals who have set up large tertiary care hospitals, they are running, they know none of them is self-sustainable. All of them are running on PE money, PE funds, VC funds, or bank loans. Yeah. So that is something which is not a very sustainable model in long run. Patients are also at one end. Patient thought that big hospitals have come. Community felt that, oh, they will get everything here. But what cost we are getting that everything? Is it the right kind of treatment our patients are getting? The whole transparency is gone. The whole corporate hospital setup is looked at in a more commercial way, that these guys are commercial. I, in my own journey, have attended to more than 6,000 patients for their recommendation. I get calls from all across the country that they want a good doctor referral, which is the best doctor in cancer, which is the best doctor in heart diseases. And the basic question I get from everywhere is that we are calling you because you will suggest me the right doctor. We are not confident of going to a corporate hospital and what they advise for cancer cases. Simply, if a doctor says, okay, this treatment regime has to follow, then patients, on the face of it, none of them believe. I always get a query, can we have a second opinion from AIMS? Can we get a second opinion from Tata Cancer Hospital? So that means that the whole trust on the private doctors and the private corporate hospitals is somewhere lost. And this is the truth. We like it or not.
Yes.
That trust is missing. That trust is deteriorating. So that means that we have to come up with a model wherein the investment burden is not that high, that the promoters and the operators of such large hospitals are compromised in patient care and the patient preference. So that's why micro hospital fills that gap. It can go up to 100 beds also. I'm not saying 15 beds to 75 beds. It can be 100 bed, 120 bed. 150 beds is quite still controllable. You can have 20 specialties and give importance to all these specialties, and you can have proper match of good inpatient admission, match of critical care, match of good mix of surgeries, what you can do. So all those combined is a very profitable, very sustainable model, and you can make many. That's the best part. Now today patients used to fly from any city travel from any city 500 kilometers away and come for a medical treatment to a big hospital. Now patients as a community also, people have started looking at better accessibility, hospitals nearby where they can go easily for follow-ups. All those things are being felt in the society, in the community. That's why the community will drive the chain of micro hospitals. The community will drive the need of such smaller setup of hospitals. And that's why this is the future.
So do you feel the acceptance is already there, or we need to work on awareness a bit more?
So anything new, as I said, this is a transition which will happen.
Yes.
Today when you talk of healthcare, there's so much of inpatient from medical tourism from across the countries, different parts of the world. There's so much of that. Still that gap in healthcare is still being filled, like in terms of bed to doctor to bed ratio. Well, in South India is still much better. In North India, in West India, in Northeast India, East India, still we are that whole gap of doctor to patient ratio is also, and doctor to and patient bed, hospital bed to patient ratio is still very poor. So while filling that gap, I think the tertiary care model was okay. First, why don't we do high end and fill that gap? Yeah. So till that time or two. Now tertiary care hospitals are available everywhere. Beds are available. Lot of hospitals are not even running on 40-50% occupancy. Big hospitals. So one of the largest hospitals started in Delhi NCR is still not being able to fill even 30-40% of the beds. So with all that, not tertiary care availability is there. So now the focus will shift to more demanding patients. That if I walk in as a patient, how I can get best out of a hospital is something which will come up, which will drive the demand for these micro hospitals. But yes, in this journey, since as this transition is happening, lot of education awareness needs to go in, and people will see it by themselves. Like when we start our 4 hospitals, then we move on to our 8 hospitals. Other people are also recently Apollo Cradle was acquired by Cloud9, so they are building up a chain of smaller hospitals in mother and child care, but they are also like multi-specialty mother and child care hospital. So like this, lot of people have started coming in, and this will, when people will see, they will experience, the communities will see, they'll see a community-centric hospital which is able to fill their 70% of their needs in healthcare. So automatically this popularity will grow, the demand will grow, the acceptance will grow.
Acceptance will come along the way. And what's your vision for Pacific One Health? How do you see this model shaping patient expectations in the future?
So as this whole concept has started with patient centricity, that how we can bring back patient into the center of healthcare, particularly in a hospital setup, and being able to provide the whole continuum of care from preventive to primary to secondary care. So, and we stop there. So we don't want to get into tertiary care. So this is the future, this is the vision, that we take care of 70% of needs, 30% of the needs is taken care by larger hospitals. We are very focused, we are very patient centric, we want to give the best environment to our doctors, we want to give best technology, best OTs, best whatever is available in terms of technology, medical advancements, we want to give to their patients, as well as keep the cost quite manageable. If not, I would not say very cheap, but quite affordable is also very subjective, but quite affordable in a sense that there is a value for money. Affordability is about value for money. So if you are able to deliver that, that is our vision, that's what we want to achieve. And we want to set up a model which also keeps a focus active on the preventive healthcare part. That's why we are setting up our own school health program, we are setting up our own corporate wellness program, we are setting up a large occupational health program, medical centers into the corporates, in manufacturing units. We are setting up a very dedicated loyalty membership program. So all these programs combined, and a huge investment on training, upskilling of doctors, nurses, so that we improve. We are setting up a first time department of patient care excellence. So all these things combined is something which will make it a future, a chain of micro hospitals spread across north, central and east and northeast part of India. And maybe in next 5 to 10 years we'll have about 25 to 50 such hospitals across, and that will be our model, which will be unique, which will be quite scalable, which will be something worthwhile, where patients will say, our win is in when patients say, wow, this is what was required. They have been able to solve a lot of problems which as a patient we were facing. Our win will when the doctors will stand in queue that I want to become part of Pacific One Health tomorrow. So this is what we want to achieve in the long run.
That's a powerful vision, and it's inspiring to see a model that's built around empathy and ethics as much as efficiency. Dr. Swadeep, this has been an enlightening conversation from redefining how care is delivered to restoring the human connection in healthcare. Pacific One Health truly seems to be building the future of accessible, ethical medicine. Thank you so much for joining us and for your time.
Thank you, Vigya. It was wonderful.
And to our listeners, if you have ever felt lost in the healthcare maze, remember, care doesn't have to be complicated. Join us next time on OneHealth Conversations as we continue exploring stories and ideas that are reshaping the way India experiences healthcare. Until then, stay informed, stay healthy, and remember, good health begins with good conversations.